Anyone who's paying attention, you can't help but notice that there's something been going on around the world, but in this country in particular, with regards to growing inequality, the fact that what the people express as their desires and their goals in terms of all sorts of policy decisions, from healthcare to militarism to our international policies, education, none of them get addressed by our government. And when you start looking at that and start looking underneath what's going on, you can't help, I think you can't help but notice that the structure of government that we are operating under has been totally corrupted. Not corrupt, but corrupted from its design function. If you look at what's really standing in the way of us building a sustainable, just, thriving society, it's that we have a governing structure that's not responding to the will of the people. It's responding to a narrow interest, and those narrow interests generally are narrow interests that are committed to an old model, an old worldview that's still based in separation, competition, domination, hierarchy. And it's just intolerable that we have a governing structure that's captured by a powerful elite that's not forward-thinking, that's backward-looking. For me, it looks like the place you start, the first step, is you've got to get the structure of rule-making, of priority setting in this country, in the United States, to be responsive to the vision of the people. And right now it's not. But it's also not an issue just in the United States. It's an issue around the world that powerful elites generally have, over the last 30, 40, 50 years, have taken over more and more control of the range of decisions that governments are making around the world, and with horrible or deplorable environmental effects and social effects. The interesting thing about it in the United States is when I said our democracy has been corrupted, not corrupt, it's corrupted. The difference is in the United States, it's legal. We built it into our legal system through decisions made at the Supreme Court level or court level, or legislation that's been put in place that gradually over time have made it legal for concentrated power, whether it's in the form of corporations or huge pools of money, very wealthy people, to actually take over and drive our democratic process to fit their whims and their needs by using their money and power to do it. It's legal in this country. Since it's legal, it actually can be undone through legal means. And there is a whole series of organizations in this country that have been looking at how do we get back or build a true democracy. And the basic way that's being looked at is by amendment to the US Constitution that makes it clear that the rights that are built into our Constitution are intended for human beings and not for artificial entities that humans have created to serve their economic interests, like corporations. So there's a movement in this country to make it clear that corporations are not persons and don't have fundamental rights that can be used to subvert our governing process. And there's a movement to include in that amendment to the Constitution provisions that make it clear that our Congress has the right to regulate how money is spent in the political process. The biggest problem we have right now is that how money is spent in the political process is considered to be a form of speech protected by the First Amendment, free speech. And that has totally subverted our democratic processes. That's what we're proposing people engage with, is helping build that movement to amend our Constitution so that our constitutional process gets our government to be back responsive to the will of the people.